Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Sanjay and in this video I'm going to share with you some tips I use to save 70% of my take-home pay. As always in my videos, make sure you check out the description below where I've got links and timestamps where you can skip ahead. You can also scrub along the timeline because I've now included chapters. So if you want to skip to things that you think are more relevant, feel free to do that. So the first and most important thing that I would call out is making sure you track your expenses. At least do it for a day. I mean, if you can hang on for a week, great. If you can, ideally you want to try and get a month worth of expenses. Now I know this is not exciting and sexy, but hear me out. What I'm basically saying is spend a week, a day, a month where you just note down, okay, what did I actually spend today in terms of coffee, lunch, food, all of that. If you can do that for a week, you'll get a bit more of an idea. And you do that for a month, I think ideally you should try and do a month because that's when all your subscriptions like Netflix, food, groceries, all of these things kind of come together. The key thing I'm trying to call out here is you can't improve what you don't measure. And this is an engineering principle I learned back in the day when I studied and worked as an engineer, which is basically if you're not measuring that thing you want to improve, which is how much you're saving, or put another way, how much you're currently spending and trying to produce that, then it's really hard to measure any improvements that you're making. You might be saving $5 a day and that's great. But in the whole scheme of things, it may not be that much compared to how much you're currently spending on all these other things. So step one is track and understand your expenses. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel horrible about some of the numbers you're seeing. Just get a reality check and say, okay, I spend $100 a week on lunch, or I spend $1,000 a week on, I don't know what you can be spending $1,000 a week on. But take the time to understand what you're actually spending and get a snapshot of that, because that's what you need to start with. My next tip is delaying purchasing decisions. Now, this is often referred to as the 72-hour rule. I don't really follow that rule. That rule is basically where you say, if you're thinking about buying something, wait 72 hours, wait a few days basically before you go ahead and buy it. And the idea is to try and manage your impulse purchases. That's not what I use. Obviously, I'm a complicated guy. I actually have slightly segmented pricing decisions. So what I mean by this is if I'm thinking about buying something that's about $100 worth, I'll usually wait, say 72 hours, maybe a few days, 3-4 days. And I'll just say, okay, I'm thinking about buying this thing. Do I really need it? How much value is it going to add in my life? What's it going to replace? What's it going to be in addition to? I'll try and answer those questions. And that way I'm kind of reducing that ability for me to suddenly impulse buy on those things that are only $100. The next level that I have is anything that's between $100 and $500. And for that kind of thing, I'm usually waiting a week or probably longer, about a week and a half. And what I'm trying to do there is, again, it's a larger purchasing decision. Do I need this product? Do I need this service? Do I really need to spend $500 on this thing? And then when we're talking about something that's between $500 and $1,000, or generally over $500, for that kind of thing, I'm waiting about a month. I know that may sound quite controversial, but the reality is if you're spending more than $500 on something, you probably do want to spend a bit of time thinking about it. Because, that's a lot of money and it may be quite a lot compared to how much you currently earn or how much you can save. And if you're burning $500 with like a day worth of decisions, I mean, I hope you're on like 300 grand a year because then you're killing it and you can burn 500. But if you're like me and you're on like a standard wage in Australia, $500 is a lot of money. If you get this idea of buying something, then just write it down and say, okay, I'm thinking about buying this thing and these are the reasons why I want to buy it. Leave it a week, put it in a book, don't look at it for like a month, come back and then have a look. And if it's still there and you're like, yeah, those reasons are still valid and I definitely still need this thing, then go ahead and buy it. That's what I do. The other thing that I find is really handy when I kind of delay purchases is it gives me more time to research that decision as well. So for example, I may want to buy a piece of technology that's about $500 or more. If I say I'm going to leave this about a month before I make the decision, in that time, I may think about it a lot, but in that time, I'll also be researching. I'll be looking at YouTube videos. I'll be looking at, what different blogs are saying, and it'll give me a really good idea of what the benefits of this product are or this service are. And it also can help me think, well, do I really need that thing? A great example of this was when I was thinking about upgrading my iWatch. Now this is a Series 3 iWatch, and to be honest, it's actually fine as it is. But Series 4 came out, Series 5 came out, and I was like, these are great products, and I'm a bit of an Apple fanboy, so I was like, yeah, why not? It's got a slightly better sensor and whatnot. But because it was worth a lot of money, I kind of delayed the decision. And as I was delaying the decision, I was thinking, Man, my Series 3 watch is fine. It does all, it tells the time. It measures my heart rate, it measures my steps. It connects to my phone as it needs to. There's no speed issues, it's not delayed. What's wrong with it? What are the benefits of getting Series 4? What are the benefits of getting Series 5? And that made me really realize, okay, I don't really need this. But if I was like, hey, I'm keen on getting a watch, I've got the money, why not execute on it? That's a dangerous situation. Now, the next thing I'm just going to sneak in here, it's basically this idea of buying annual subscriptions rather than monthly subscriptions. This is most relevant for pieces of software that you might be using, like online software. Often how they work is they'll say, for $20 a month, you can get this product. However, if you're willing to commit to a year, we can give it to you for like $12 a month. So if it's a product that you use for at least another year, then why not commit to it for a year and then just get that lower rate? Like I said, this is maybe not be something that's relevant to a lot of people. Like I know, for example, Netflix is a monthly subscription and they don't give you a yearly subscription option. I don't know why, because I feel like it'd be great for them to secure that recurring revenue for a long period of time. Now, my next tip is dabbling a little bit into food, and it's the idea of understanding unit pricing. Now, what I mean by this is in Australia, when you go to a supermarket and if you want to buy meat, vegetables, or whatever it is, all these products, the supermarket will usually say this product is like $9, and underneath it will say, but it's about $11 a kilogram. And that's the unit pricing. It's always, what's the dollar per unit? And it might be dollar per gram, dollar per kilogram, dollar per roll of toilet paper, whatever it is. So an example of this is pasta. The cheapest is like 16 cents per 100 grams. And the most expensive is like 56 cents per 100 grams. Now that may not sound like a big difference, but it's a difference between 80 cents and $2.80 for essentially the same thing, which is pasta. Now I know there's a difference in brand and you may take this kind of difference really seriously. I don't. I'm not someone who takes food that seriously. I want to get healthy food, but I'm not that fussed on the level of the brand name of the food. And I just call out, often if it's doing the same thing, why would you spend so much more money just to get pasta? Say if you're looking at minced meat and you can see there's Coles 5-star extra lean beef, which is about $17 per 1 kilogram, or you can get Cleaver's beef mince free range extra lean organic, $26 per 1 kilogram. There's also a price difference there. Now, again, this may be $4 or $5 here or there, and it all adds up. But this is where I'm just trying to call out the importance of understanding the unit pricing and not just looking at the price that's on the sticker, but look below that and they'll often say, this is equivalent to paying this much per unit price. And that way you can easily compare the price of other products that all do the same thing. Now my next tip, and maybe slightly controversial for a few of you, is basically to ask friends how much they spend on certain things, just to get an idea of, hey, could I be doing this cheaper? Now there's probably also Facebook groups out there, Reddit post groups out there that you can also search and engage with. But for me, what I would do is generally ask friends, how much do you spend on your mobile phone bill? Or how much do you spend on electricity or, various things? And it's just a way of knowing, am I getting ripped off? Could I get a better deal somewhere else? Where do I sit relative to where other people sit who have broadly the same lifestyle as me? So a great example of this would be, say, your telephone bill or your mobile bill. Understanding how much you pay will give you a great reference point for understanding, well, what are your other friends paying? If you're getting your mobile for like $50 a month and other people are spending like $25, $30 a month, then it might be worth considering, hey, could I save a bit of that money if I switch to what my friends are using? But the conversation wouldn't have started and you wouldn't have thought about it until you actually checked in with your friends. My next tip is making sure you pay your bills and your savings first. What I mean by this is, as soon as you get paid, the first thing you should do is take out a certain portion of that money for your bills. So say you have about $500 worth of bills every month, take that out and set it aside into a special bills account. There's a lot of content on this from the Barefoot Investor, and I think I should definitely do a video on some of the big takeaways. There's so much good material, but the key thing here is, as soon as you get paid, the first thing you should do is set aside money for bills. Once that's done, because you don't want to feel stressed about not being able to pay your bills, all right? The next thing you should do is save money for yourself immediately, because you don't want your savings to be the leftover thing after all the other things you spent your money on. You want to be able to save for yourself early after you've covered all your bills, because then you'll feel confident, you'll feel better about spending money on buying that particular piece of jewelry, particular technology piece, whatever it is. You'll be like, well, I can buy this thing because I already know I've paid my bills and I've set aside money for my long-term future in terms of my savings, and I'm okay there. Now, the final thing I want to call out, and it may seem a little bit controversial, it may seem a little bit condescending, but I'm going to call it out anyway. It's simply this. How much you save as a percentage of your take-home pay is dependent on two things. Number one is how much money you earn. Number two is how much money you spend. So if you want to save more money as a percentage of your take-home pay, you either need to maintain your current expenses and earn more money, or if you're not going to be earning more money anytime soon, you really just have to spend less money. I know it seems really basic, but that's the truth. There's no magic to this kind of stuff. If you want to save more, but you don't want to spend less, well, you got to earn more money, because that's the only way you're going to get more money into your bank account. Similarly, if you want to save more money but you don't think you can earn more money, well, the reality is if you want to save more money, you got to cut down on your expenses. No other way around it. Just wanted to call that out. That's it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you have any questions, make sure you comment below, like and subscribe for future content along these lines. I do a weekly video on personal finance and investing in an Australian context, usually on Monday nights, and I'm always available to comment as soon as they come out. You can check my previous videos. I'm very quick with commenting. I've got a playlist of previous videos I've done on personal finance and investing that I think you might find useful, and I'll see you in the next video, probably next Monday. Bye for now.